Okay, so um, good evening and welcome to today's class. Previously, we were talking about the application layer and the transport layer. Then we kind of say that the application layer is the closest layer to us because we utilize applications and these applications open up various kind of services. And then these protocols work behind the scenes. Once we try to maybe open a WhatsApp, open a send a mail. So that's an application we are using. At the point we are putting up a send button, the protocols that work in the application layer start functioning. So if it's a mail, we already know it's a SMTP and POP3 and IMAP. So those are the protocols. So not just about these protocols getting up to speed, they also work alongside the transport layer protocols, which are the UDP and TCP. And they have specified ports. These transport layers or transport protocols have specified ports in order to keep connection and establish connection or keep track of the sessions that is happening from one application to the other or from one system to the other. Then from the transport, we have already done the other layers that are uh, behind or that are a little bit lower, such as the IP and the network layer. So invariably bringing an end to the TCP IP protocol model. That's the protocols that work in those models and the layers also. And we also we were able to use some certain network tools or some certain commands per se that will enable us to be able to identify one or two things when it comes to our network. Something like the ping, the trace routes, the NAS lookup. So those are the few of the commands we are trying to test out on how they can be able to help us in our cybersecurity endeavors. So is that all that will be serving for the that will be all that will be serving for the thing that we did the last time. So if you are with me, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can somebody raise up their hands with regards to anything? And we'll take it out from there. Okay, thank you very much. So today we are talking about network operations and security tips. We are talking about network operations and security tips. So you are invariably coming to the end of the foundational course. I think today we'll wrap it up before we enter operating system by next week, Linux, and then do some certain things, and that should be ending it. Unless if we have more time on our hands, we will be doing MySQL, which will enable us to um search through data and be able to get out the information that we need. So meanwhile, this is on topic today, network operations and securing tips. We have already talked about a lot of things. You just want to kind of bring this knowledge together. So that's why you talk about network operations. So you just want to bring this knowledge together, let it down, let it not hang. So you can be able to know where all these things fit in. That's what I'm saying when it comes to network operations and securing tips. So one of those concepts in which I don't want you to easily forget is protocols, because we have mentioned so many protocols and you will be needing them in your day-to-day activity as a cybersecurity specialist. And we already know the definition of protocols, when rules come in, when guidelines come in to help devices on the network to be able to communicate. Then that's the protocol that we'll talk about. Aside from the fact that these protocols function in various layers, apart from the fact that these protocols function in different layers, I want to bring to your mind that there are various classifications of these protocols, irrespective of the layers they are functioning in. So some are serving as communication protocols, some are serving as management protocols, and the other is serving like these are the major categories, is serving as security protocol. That doesn't take out the fact that a communication protocol, a management protocol, a security protocol can be functioning in either the application layer or the network layer or the internet layer or the transport layer. This is just to bring us to our mind that various protocols can be categorized. And when you see 3 or 4 protocols in a layer, you will now ask yourself, what is this one doing? What is the other one doing? Is this one a communication protocol? Is this one a management protocol? Is this one a security protocol? A good example of that is when we talk about HTTPS, which is functioning at the application layer. We have the HTTP. HTTP is an application layer. For what? For communication. And then now you are seeing HTTPS. So that is to tell you that HTTP, even though it's a communication protocol, HTTPS is the security, the whole thing, because HTTP as a communication protocol will transfer your files as plain text without consideration of how those tests would be seen by any person who is looking up to getting information on you. So you are seeing that various protocols can be classified, either they are working as communication, they are management and security. So when we talk about communication, we simply mean protocols that enable transfer of data from one point to the other, either from taking it off from the application or the transport or the network layer. So those protocols are functional on each of those layers that make information transversal to continue on the other layers. They are mostly referred as communication protocols. Um, they are listed as follows. TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, which is a protocol that functions in the transport layer. Since the major duty it does is for us to be able to send data and receive information pertaining to what is happening with regards data. Was the person we send data to receive it? Is there any data that we need to resend due to issues of lost on transit? So communication protocols, this is where they belong. TCP, you already know its function. UDP as well is also an application, is a transport layer protocol, which also helps us in order to get our maintain communication sessions, but in the sense that the major benefit or the major thing is trying to do is to get our message across in a more faster way without trying to do all this handshake of a thing or trying to get confirmation. So it just sends the message like the way we are using video IP here now. Voice over internet video conferencing and then voice over internet protocol. So we have the HTTP, more of using to utilize to display web pages. And we have the DNS, which is also the way to convert all these domain names to their relevant IP addresses. So that is about communication protocol. When we talk about management protocol, we talk about protocols that help us with regards to our network, how things happen, to be able to keep track of what is going on our network. So what helps us to keep track? The ability to monitor and then what, not just monitor, oversee or have an overview of what's currently happening on our network, or kind of pre-informs us of when there are issues, when things are going, or kind of help us to automate some certain things. Those are the things that belong under management. So when we talk about management, see it as something that helps us to achieve our network efforts, or the network communication. So what helps us to put every whole thing together? When we talk about management, you already should be thinking about an overseer, somebody who effectively sees to something being carried out. And then we have something like the SNMP. Anywhere you see I use acronyms, please do where to find their full meaning. ISCMP, DSCP. Of course, we have done what DSCP simply does for us. SNP, Simple Network Management Protocol, kind of helps us to know what is ongoing on our network. Monitoring, that's the actual duty. ICMP, um, ICMP, the major duty it does is to kind of help with regards to the echo. You know that thing that happens in ping, when you ping, when you ping and it echoes and you want to know if somebody is on the protocol that makes that thing able to do is this ISCMP. It is the protocol that brings about Internet Control Message Protocol. Thank you, Victoria. That brings about the kind of sending and receiving of information when we want to know whether a device is on and running on the network. And that's the connectivity of a device. So what makes it able when we do ping, the name of the host name is the ICMP. And you can see it's a management protocol because it's kind of pre-informs us about the ongoing thing that is happening in our network, whether this person is on or is not what on. So DSCP is a management protocol because why? It helps us to automate things. So instead of us doing static addressing uh, in the with on the devices, DSCP helps to assign IP address automatically. So when we talk about management, see it as something that helps to ease, monitor, report, get an overview of everything that is happening in a network. So another wonderful category of protocol is the security protocols. We have the HTTPS, which brings security to communication. That's the HTTP communication protocol. The HTTP will translate information on a plain text, but with the help of HTTPS, which is a security protocol, your text is encrypted and cannot be seen by anyone who tries to pierce through it or your information hijacked on the way. We also have the SFTP. The FTP is a communication protocol, but SFTP is a security. That means it brings security to the file transfer protocol. So it's a way of trying to, when you are trying to send files over the internet or download files over the internet, the security aspect of it being involved is what we call SFTP. Meanwhile, there are more examples of these protocols which can belong to any of these categories. And I felt like I should talk about, even though I know I've made mention of all these protocols in the previous class that we had. The Address Resolution Protocol, which is ARP. ARP is a protocol that helps to find out who has a particular IP address. So to get the MAC address of a device, so it tells us who have this IP address is the major thing. It resolves addresses. That means it tells us which MAC address, that which device has this IP address. So if that device says it is me, it will provide us with their MAC address so that we can be able to send them appropriate messages. As I already said, you can't send a message without you can't send a message without the source ports, the internet addresses, and the MAC addresses. These are important. The ports is to keep the session ongoing. The the addresses is to locate the particular device, but to actually get to the particular device, locating or knowing or seeing or being able to communicate is not just enough. We have to call that device by name. It has to go through the wires and go to that device. That we know where a device is doesn't mean the information we get to it. That I know your address doesn't mean that information will get to you until I'm able to address you by your name. So that is what app does. App wants to send a message, but it knows the IP address, it knows the location of the device, but it doesn't know which device has that IP address. So it will ask this device, who has this IP address? Please, can you provide me with your MAC address? Telnet is a more of remote connectivity, connecting to a device on a remote basis. All right, Gift. Okay, you can speak up, Gift. Hello? Hello?
Sorry, it was a mistake, sir.
All right. So we have the Telnet. Telnet is the remote one whereby somebody can be able to connect with you or connect remotely without being actually physically connected to your device. More, somebody can use the same way we use a command prompt here and be able to search out and connect, having your password and then log into your system, even though they are on their own system, and be able to do one or two things. So those things are what Telnet does. But the only disadvantage is Telnet is not secure. So every information that is passing through is on a plain text. Password that is entered is on a plain text. So it is not advisable. SSH, you can now see that Telnet belongs to a communication protocol. Why SSH belongs to a security protocol? Because SSH is what brings in security. That means it encloses your communication, it encrypts your communication. That means when you are trying to connect remotely to any device. So we know POP, IMAP, SMTP, these are all email communication protocols. And I know I've explained to a large extent in our last class what both of them is, what three of them means. POP, kind of receiving messages, and then once the message gets to you, it automatically deletes it, more like the way mail works. All right, so IMAP. All right, Rofiat.
Good evening, Mr. Wenko. Please, I just need
Good evening.
verification on this security protocol. Because me, I'm thinking HTTPS and HTTP, I don't know, under the same communication protocol. Because I read somewhere that the security protocols are the TLS and the SSL, transfer layer security and socket security layer. But now that I'm seeing these ones, I don't know which category those ones belong to.
All right, okay. Let me say something on that. HTTPS is a security aspect of communication protocols. It is what makes HTTP communication protocol secure, right? And
Yes,
what does it
yes.
use? It Yes, it uses uses TLS. That means HTTPS was an offshoot of TLS stroke SSL, right? So it is what brought about. So it is them that brought about what we call HTTPS. So when we say HTTPS, simply think about TLS and SSL protocols. Eh? But yet, that doesn't make it to belong
Okay.
to the communication protocol. It is only the HTTP that is a communication protocol. Once you are trying to secure HTTP, it has already become a security protocol. The same way FTP here is a what? Is a communication protocol. But when we started talking about securing FTP, brought about what? SFTP. Telnet is a communication protocol. When we talked about what is it called, securing it, brought about SSH, because SSH is
SSH.
a secured version of Telnet. Eh?
Toilet.
So that was what I was trying to say, that when communication protocols, or when these protocols were designed, they were not designed with security in mind. Security was an aftermath of when the internet was designed. So all these security protocols you are seeing here, you will see they are actually taking its root from the communication. So whenever we try to secure any part of the communication, it has already become a security protocol. Is that clear, Rufia?
Okay. Yes, it's clear. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So we are moving forward. As I said, we have already explained extensively what POP, IMAP, and SMTP do. POP taking more like a post office. Once they deliver your letter, or once you get your letter, you don't get it again because it's a one-off thing. That means automatically it goes. So, but SMTP has an ability to return a copy of that in the server while you also receive a copy on your device. Sorry, IMAP, sorry. SMTP is just for transfer of mail. So once somebody wants to transfer mail, the protocol that makes it able to reach you is the SMTP. While POP and IMAP is a protocol that enable you to download or to get those mails. So it's a different when we talk about sending SMTP, when we talk about receiving POP or IMAP. So there is also what we talk about. Remember, these are categories. These examples, I'm just trying to bring them out and say something, but they still belong to any of these categories here. ARP belongs to management protocols. Telnet belongs to communication. SSL belongs to security. POP, IMAP, SMTP, those belong to communication protocols. So we have another thing because of we are used to wireless. We now think that wireless doesn't have protocols. Please, wireless does have protocol, but most of them are likely security protocols because all these things are applicable to them. These ones, many they will utilize it, but there is a way also wireless is secured, and that is what I'm talking about when we say web, WPA, WPA2, WPA3. These are migrations of how secured a wireless protocol can be. So the higher you use, the more secured your communication on a wireless end would be. That is all about WPA, YPWE2, WPA3. So that's about the wireless protocol. So are we on the same page? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can somebody raise up their hands and express their concern? All right, thank you very much. It's something I want to say, but I will say it after the class. Okay. As I said, I'm trying to bring when I say security operation and securing trips, I'm trying to bring together every knowledge that you have. So we have already done this thing. I'm just trying to bring it back so as to not forget the important things. That's why I brought out this class. So there is a security strategy, which is subnetting, and I've talked something about subnetting. Why am I bringing it out? Because it is a security strategy. Many of us prefer, oh, let everything be on one network. Just be aware that if something really happens to that network, every other thing in that network is going down with it. So the aspect of security we want to engage with is the aspect that says what? Do not put your eggs in one basket. But please, in the matters of eternity, put your egg in one basket. In the matters of love, put your eggs in one basket. But in the matter of what? In the matter of security, please don't put your eggs in one basket. All right, so I hope I've established my point. Let me now tell you where that thing matters, where is applicable and where is not applicable. So in this case, don't put your eggs in one basket. But in the other ones, eternity, everything, put your eggs in one basket. So having said that, that is what we are saying, where we are saying a security strategy we use. We don't want to put our eggs in one basket because if something happens to that basket, hey, if you put all your eggs in one, if something happens to that basket, everything is gone. That means you are losing everything. But the ability to be able to separate your networks helps to be able to better manage it and better also preserve, have something to preserve just in case something goes wrong. And aside from that, there are also many benefits that are attached to splitting up network. So let's assume you have 10 departments in your firm. So don't try to say everybody connect to you. This no. That's not how you should be. Let every department have a specified network that is mapped out for them to what use. It helps to what? It helps to increase the flow of messages. Messages become what? Faster. And then you can be able to apply security uh, guidelines, be able to secure more when you know that you just have this particular department to work on. After this department, you work on another department than trying to keep track of the whole thing. So the best way to solve a problem in every person's individual life, the best way to solve a problem, you don't tackle it as a whole, you split it up as individual what fragments. If you have so much to do in a day, if you try to tackle it all at once, you are going to probably what get so. But why you were able to say, all right, let's just say the prime thing that you want to do is to clean a house. So if you want to clean a house, we already know that this house has many what compartments. We have the bedroom, we have the toilet, we have so many things. So if you try to, oh, let me just do everything, no, it won't work. So you'd have be like, okay, let me first of all clean this place, right? Since this place, the water that I use to clean this place can be used to clean the other place. Well, you ladies know better than I do. So you know the water that you use in cleaning this side, we also serve. You know the areas of the house that are what? That are more dirtier than the other. So you kind of map out. When you finish doing those map out, when you start, you know that you are what? You know the plan and you can follow through because they have been broken down into individual what pieces. But when you are trying to jam pack the whole thing, you don't have direction, you don't have flow, you don't have anything. You are probably going to be missing out on a lot. So, aside from the fact of maintaining security, also the issue of bandwidth that we talked about, there won't be much messaging. People sending, just imagine 250 devices trying to send message to each other. But we just have 4 devices in a particular network, 4 devices in a plan. That will increase the flow. And then the bandwidth will be what? Utilized properly than trying to split off information here and there and then causing roadblocks as we all are often used to traffics in our countries. But in this thing, you now have traffic here and there, blocks and everything trying to slow down our network or collision, as it used to called in the network. You have collision, one device trying to send data to another device, and then two of them probably collide and they have to restart again for them to effectively function better and start doing what? Start functioning proper. So subnetting is an important thing because it will help us to, when threats come, when an attack come, we already know where we are facing. If it's coming from the IT department, let's assume we did subnetting by department or by location. We know there are 3 ways. We do it by group, by devices, by location, by group, and by devices. Those are the 3 ways you subnet. I've talked about subnetting before. As I said, this thing is just to bring our whole knowledge to it. So in the aspect of creating security around every network, so we can decide to create, if it's first network we have, we can create security around each of them. And then when something happens, we'll drastically face that particular place is coming from, and we can disconnect that particular network totally from our company's entire network. So we disconnect that one since we know that it is under attack. Unlike when everything is under attack, you don't know where to start from. You don't even know where to start unplugging cables and every other thing. So subnetting works best in this scenario. So here is what I'm trying to say. You can see there are 2 desktop. There are 3 desktop here. So just imagine 4 of these desktop being on a particular network. But this router is providing this. Subnet simply means a division of a network subnet. So these are 2. So these things will communicate better than trying to bring them all together. So that's the case of what I'm trying to say, an illustration of what subnet does. Are we all on the same page? If so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can somebody raise up their hands? to express their concern. Okay, thank you very much. So, having said that, we are done with something I said on, sorry, we are done with most of the things I wanted us to fall back to before we continue. Then there are common security tools and practices. And we have done all these things. I'm just trying to, okay, we have done all these things. Yeah, sure. I'm just trying to deep into it. I'm just trying to, for us to have a more deep sense of knowledge towards them. So one of those tools we are talking about is the firewalls. Firewalls kind of help us to inspect and filter out traffic that we don't want to have anything to do with. Okay, or we want to have something to do with. So if it's traffic that we want to enter our network, we write rules and tell it, can you allow this form of traffic to enter my network? Can you allow this kind of device to send something into my network? But when we don't want it, also we can be able to specify that we don't want it, and we can categorically do so. That's what firewalls does. It enables us to set the kind of things that we want inside our network, the kind of devices that can connect to our network, the kind of IP address that we access our network. But there are things I want to talk about when we say firewalls, because you often get to use them, and you will know when we say, somebody say, our organization is using a stateless firewall and a stateful firewall. What is a stateless firewall? A stateless firewall simply have to do with rules. It has to do with primarily on rules. So its own importance is to filter based on what rules. It doesn't do anything more than that. If you tell it to block this traffic, it will block it. If you tell it to block this IP address, it will block it. If you tell it to do this, it will do that. And once somebody that rules doesn't meet any of those things, it will not do anything about it. So that's you didn't set any rule pertaining to that. So when you set rule of what they will do and what they don't do, anywhere you didn't specify any rule with regards to that, it will do or it will allow you to do anything pertaining to it. And once a traffic is coming through into a network, it looks at the rule and looks at the traffic. If it meets any condition of the rule, it does that thing that you want it to do. That is stateless firewall. Stateful firewall, on the other hand, doesn't just filter based on rules. It also does what? It also inspects the traffic. So if a traffic crosses through a stateful firewall and gets into the network, and maybe by virtue of the rules that you set, so it tells you that this traffic is a good one. And if that traffic is going, it have already known how that traffic went. So it kept a current state of that traffic that went in. If that traffic is coming out and is trying to take any information aside from the reason why it went in at first, it will what? It will block it. It will stop it. So it keeps track of the condition through which a traffic enters, and also keep track of what the traffic seeks to do, why it entered at first, and is it actually going out based on the reason why it was entered. So it keeps track of the incoming and then outgoing, the same traffic that is outgoing, it keeps track of it. So unlike the stateless firewall, that it's all about allow, don't allow, and it ends there. So a traffic that goes in and is coming out, it doesn't keep track of that traffic. So as you told it allow, based on is a good traffic. So if it's going out and coming out, it doesn't concern the stateless firewall because you didn't put any rules pertaining to that. But the stateful firewall keeps track of the traffic when it goes in and the same traffic when it's coming out. So if anything changes while that traffic goes in, Let's assume it's taking private data and it's going out, and it will do what? It will what? It will stop it. So on the other hand, advanced firewalls, advanced firewall is a kind of improved version of these two firewall, stateless and stateful firewall. The advanced firewall, example, which is NGFWS, is the improved version of the stateless and stateful firewall. So it does more things than they do. It monitors, it does a whole lot of things than ordinary just setting rules. So firewalls is essential as your security tool. It is essential in involving it as your security practices. It is essential to get the firewalls involved. Another thing like that you also put in mind about security tools is the proxy servers. And I have thanked to God I've been able to say something on proxy servers somehow when somebody asked me a question. So if you understand how NAT works, network address translation, then it will be easier to understand proxy servers. Remember, NAT doesn't tell the devices that it is communicating the internal IP addresses. So it uses a public IP address. So if you are sending out information, it will translate your private IP address to your public IP address. So what the person who is interacting with you is seeing is your public IP address. But only the device, maybe your router is the one doing the network address translation or utilizing the network address translation. So only the router is what they know as the person requesting that information, but they don't know the actual device. So the router has the ability to do what? Interface on your behalf. So if that is what happens in NAT, so what are the proxy servers? Proxy servers is something of setting somebody and giving them the knowledge about yourself, and they act on your behalf and then gives you backward feedback. That is what proxy servers are. Many of you who work in a company or something of that nature, probably you might not have seen the CEO before. You might not have seen the CEO before. You might have seen every other person in the organization. But there is this one person that you always see and everybody respects it, and he's not the CEO. He's always there and he's acting on behalf of the CEO. Mainly, that's what we call PAs. So when this PA, everything more like, it looks like the CEO replicated his brain in that PA. And he knows, he gave every answer pertaining to the organization, everything pertaining to what the CEO would have said himself, that PA could act on his behalf. When the CEO is not readily available, that PA will stand on his behalf. So what that PA does is to get any form of information, gives it back to the feedback, and also get feedback from the CEO and relay it. So nobody interfaces directly with the CEO. It's very, very rare for you to see the CEO, but there is always somebody acting on their behalf. So that is what is proxy servers. And we term them forward versus backward proxies in the sense that if you are trying to communicate to an actual device, there is another device that will take information on your behalf and send it to that device. That device will now communicate back to that device, and that device will relate it back to you. So it's a middleman thing. So when we talk about proxy servers, we are talking about middlemen. So that is invariably the best way I could be able to relate that. Then another thing that you will consider these proxy servers as a security tool. Another thing, or your security practice, another thing is VPN. It will encrypt data in transit. So instead of sending casual data on the internet, which the internet is an open run, we use what we call VPN, so as to encrypt, forms a tunnel through which our messages will go without interruption, without anyone piercing or looking through it. And what are these types of VPN? We have the remote VPN, which all of you have used in one way or the other. That one you have to download an app, then subscribe to the app, and then click start. It starts using VPN. That's what we call remote VPN. It only requires a client, maybe sometimes a client browser or your application. That's what we call client. and then we can be able to access the VPN network and use VPN. That is what is usually called remote VPN, no matter wherever you are. But site-to-site VPN is the one that runs from one organization to the other. So if you need a special VPN from MTN, they will run something like a kind of tunnel cable and run it to your what organization, so that you transmit or from one site to what another. So there is a transfer point towards it. So when those kind of situations happen, we say it's a site to site for VPN, whereby from one company to the another are being given ways through which they can communicate through the VPN network. So what are the protocols this VPN uses? They use the WireGuard and IPsec. Those are the common protocols. So when I say protocols, just have it in mind that it is rules guiding the way in which VPN functions. So that is WireGuard and IPsec, which are the protocols. So your cybersecurity efforts or utilizing cybersecurity tools and practices, these are the devices you or the things you should consider: firewalls, proxy servers, because they kind of provide you with a good way of securing or keeping your devices, the system network, and the data stored in them what secured. So, and the last is the VPN. Are you all with me on this? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can somebody raise up their hands to express their concern? Okay, thank you. So, having known VPN and having known what protocols, as we have already done, protocols, VPN, and the network. So another considerations to this is the network protocol analyzer. This is what helps us to be able to look at a particular data or a particular thing that is passing through our network and ascertain to what extent is this traffic legit, or to what extent this traffic is harmful. So when we are able to do that, we capture data on transit, we get a copy of it and analyze it. So when we do that, we are talking about what enables us to do those things is a network protocol analyzer. So it is a tool you also have to what put in your toolbox. Network protocol analyzers, and this is what they do. They kind of capture traffic that are ongoing in a network. Then you can be able to look through those traffic, see something about them, check them, and know what is happening with that traffic. If it's a virus, you can be able to know what type of virus is this, how was this virus able to escape your normal network or your firewalls. So those kind of things you are doing when we talk about doing assessment based on some certain data that we have collected. This is also the same protocol analyzers do. So the data that pass through your network, you can use a network protocol analyzer to capture it, and then do what and be able to see what it is doing. So, all right, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Please, when we talk about traffic in networking, can you please like explain what you actually mean? Like,
Okay.
what's the traffic actually? Yes.
Okay, when I mean traffic, the same way cars move, we talk about data that are in transit. That's simply what I mean. Data that are in transit, that is in transit, is not resident on a system. By the means of network, that data is passing through a cable, passing through a radio wave, and that data is what I'm talking about when I say traffic. Traffic simply means data that is in transit, data that is moving, data that is not just resident, data that has a flow. So that's what I simply mean. So if data is static, if data is in your system, we shouldn't be bothering now. If the data is, nobody will just come to your system unless you give them your system. But it's because of network that brought about data being on a transit, going from one place to the another. And then when we have a network protocol analyzer, we can be able to capture those data and then make meaning out of it, either to be able to detect malicious traffic, we can now set alerts based on some certain findings and say, if you see something like this happens, please, you will now set SIEM. If you see something like this data based on what you have captured in your network protocol analyzer, please flag this data, set alarm. This is a dangerous one. So it also helps to establish a network traffic baseline. In the sense, what the network traffic baseline is the normal network operation. So if something beyond this normal network operation is happening, it will inform you that something beyond the normal operation is happening and it has to be looked into. So it's the network protocol analyzer that helps us to do this thing of capturing and analyzing network data or traffic. And examples of them that you'll be using, though I won't be the one. Bola is asking me which of these tools are commonly, all of them are used though, depending on what the organization is trying to achieve. But let me just tell you all, tools is not even what cybersecurity is all about. Cybersecurity is all about techniques, tactics, because the most prone people in a cybersecurity effort is human beings. It's not even those devices that you are using. So the simplest way, many breaches that have occurred is because of human beings. Other people who were not informed, people who did one thing or the other without having pre-knowledge about what they are doing. Just imagine, okay, I would just want to say something. What is that? I don't know. There's something I want to drop. How many of you used to take surveys? I want to drop a survey that will pay you $100 after taking the survey. How many of you are willing to participate? They are willing. No? So as simple as something like that is a social engineering techniques. So because you had money, you are willing to give in, even if they ask you, there was your mother's father born, you will answer. And one of your security question and answer is something somebody shouldn't know about you. And all those surveys, you will just be answering. So that's the trick to it. That's just it, because they know how humans are. We are cautious about something that we just do in a jiffy and get something. So we don't, hard work is not most people don't like hard work. So it's all about what can I just do now. And then somebody is offering you $100 for 30 minutes of your time. Just enter some certain information, personal information. Even sometimes there is one that is currently ongoing now. I've seen that one. I've just looked at people. I'm just be looking at them. They will tell you to upload 100 of your photos, like within the past 3 years. They will tell you upload 100 of your photos within the past 3 years, and then collect so amount. You know what they are using that thing for? And AI is invoked. You are not asking what they are using those things for. Well, we are still on a lot. They are using that thing to train AI models and machines and every other thing. So in due time or in due course, you will see somebody's face appearing and they are saying what they are not, what they didn't say. And you just be imagining, when did that thing happen? But you uploaded, you know what it means to upload? Like you uploaded your growth state pictures. The AI can be able to make conscious effort of analyzing those things and then keeping it in stock. And tomorrow, if if many of you that use OPay, before you make transactions, they will say there's a kind of amount you say. They will say you should use your face to what? To authorize it. So, but you have given out 300 of your pictures over the period of 5 years. And somebody can be able to model that thing, bring in an AI that can be able to do the turn left, turn right of a thing. And because your face is appearing and every feature is there, is an identified, your eye and everything, and the movement is following, it will invariably do it. It's getting crazy, but that is how I'm just trying to tell you that it is going. That's what is happening. With Bola that asked the question. So most times you utilize one or two of these devices. It all depends on your effort. So if you want to stop all these kind of set rules and do all those things, you know that you use a firewall. And then, okay, praise, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Okay, well, I just wanted to add to what you're saying because I got a mail recently from I saw it somewhere else at first, but I didn't really look at it. But when LinkedIn sent me a mail saying that um they are going to right now they have a policy to train their AI with all our inputs on LinkedIn. So if
Okay.
you so there are some countries that have already said no. So some EU countries have already said these countries don't use their input, don't use their uploads, don't use their data for training your AI. So for other countries in Africa and some other continents, they gave us the option to opt in and like opt out. They just sent the mail. And the fact now is many people might not see the mail and many people might actually see the mail and just think of it as nothing. So after a given period of time now, they will activate that process. That means that when you upload your picture, you upload you write anything, you send anything on LinkedIn, they have the access to it and they can use it, and you have support. If you don't opt out, that means you have supported them to use your data for training their AI.
Yeah, thank you for that, praise. So, so with regards to Bola, what I'm just saying is, well, when I brought about the social engineering of the thing, so what I mean by saying is that one of these tools can be used, one or more of the tools can be used. It all depends on what you want to do. Of course, when you are looking forward to analyzing and capturing network data in order to know whether it's malicious, enable you to set a baseline for your network or set alerts for your security. Of course, you will need a network protocol analyzer. You have already known that it is needed because you are trying to achieve a one thing. So if you want to set rules so as to block some certain IP, block some certain traffic, you already know that we are talking about what? We are talking about firewall. So everything that you want to achieve and there is a tool for it, that will require what? Using the what? Tool. So that's invariably what it means. If you want to achieve one thing and it requires two, that means you are going to probably be utilizing the two. But sometimes there are tools that have a compartment of more one-on-one features of all these tools. Something like SIEM and SOAR. When plugged together, you will see that it takes care of most of the things that you are trying to use various tools to achieve. So those are the things. Know what you want to do, and then look out for the tool. That's why we are teaching all these things or setting the foundation, just in case the organization that you go to is not using all of those tools, but is using one of them. You will know that they are already existing. I hope that's okay, Bola. All right, thank you. So the examples of these network protocol analyzers, we have Wireshark. I think you guys will be doing Wireshark in your when the second facilitator will take over. People will be doing Wireshark. So just when they say Wireshark, you already know what it is. So you don't need to start being confused. It's a network protocol analyzer. You can use TCP dump. Wireshark is majorly for Windows. TCP dump is majorly for Linux operating system. So as I listed them, they are ones that work in various operating systems. So when we'll be doing OS, I think by next week, we'll be doing OS. I think that's an important topic to also help you because it's part of your curriculum. All right, that's it. So TCP dump, SolarWinds, NetFlow, Manage Engine, Op Manager, Azure Network Watcher. So some of them here are operating system based. So you have to have a certain operating system for it to use it. Some of them are cloud based, but they are all serving the very purpose of trying to capture and analyze network traffic. Are you all with me on? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can I get your consent? All right. Thank you very much. So let's just have a view of one. Let's just have a view of one. This is a TCP dump data capture. That's to say this is a Linux because TCP dump works in a command line thing. So this is an example of the capture, what it looks like. So when they captured a particular traffic, that traffic had the timestamp, that is the time the traffic was sent. It has a source IP, who is sending the traffic. It has a source port. It has a destination IP. It has a destination port. And it also has various information like flags, sequence, acknowledge, win, option. So I'm going to explain. I just try to explain that the major thing that people often look at for when they capture this traffic most at times is these ones, which are timestamp, the source IP, destination, and the. So for more people who are knowledgeable, they also look at what we call flags, sequence, acknowledging. So let me talk about sequence a little bit. I'm just trying to give you an overview. See, when you're trying to send an information, for instance, and those information are broken down, because I told you that it's not all data that will be sent at once, depending on the bandwidth. So if you are using something like 10 MB per second, and the data you are trying to send is over 100 MB, that is to say that that medium will be 10 MB per word second. It has to take 10 MB data, 10 MB data till all the 100 MB is exhausted. So do you know what these sequence numbers are doing? So each of those data, before they start moving, they are giving numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's assume it's 10. Are you getting what I'm saying? So I'm just giving you an instance. So once the source IP sends the first data, it have already talked about sequence of what? 120 or 176. Let's assume that it has sent one of what? 1 of 10. 2 of 10, 3 of 10. So when an attacker captures this, it will now know, the person have sent something. The person is expecting what? 10 what? 10 data, and 4 have already been set. The attacker can what? Send the fifth one. And because he already knows the word sequence what? Number. So it will send the word sequence, it will send the sequence and follow. Do you now see how people get attacked? So because he read through the traffic and can be able to now know what sequence of data that is being sent, and can be able to what? Send their own, because they already know the number that is left or the number that is currently what? Going. So that's a little bit of sequence. And acknowledgement simply means how many of these things has the receiver acknowledged. How many of the data have you said I've received it? If an attacker have a knowledge about this sequence and acknowledge, he can be able to use it to their what? Disadvantage. Sorry, to their advantage. So, but the major thing I just wanted you to know, aside from this sequence and acknowledge, which are also good things when a particular traffic is captured, is that it will tell us the time, it will tell us the source, and so which are also important information that an attacker can utilize, because he already knows who is sending the data and who is receiving it, and he already knows some of the extra information here. So he can cook up something and also flow with that thing. Are you all with me on this? All right, Stephanie.
Okay, sir. For what you explained, you said the
Yeah.
sequence is just like the number of data that the receiver is supposed to get, and
Yeah.
like it has two information: the number of data the receiver is supposed to receive, and the number that a receiver the sender has sent or is sending. Because we have 120 ratio, 176. That is 120 over 176. But now in our
Yeah.
acknowledgement, we just have one. So does it mean that the receiver has only gotten or acknowledged that he has received just one data or one traffic? Sorry, not traffic,
No.
one packet.
All right. That's it, no. Why there is how acknowledgement works, and I will explain. Just give me a minute. All right, so sorry for that. I said I will explain how acknowledgement works. Acknowledgement doesn't mean the number of data that is received. Acknowledgement is a kind of principle that was set when we talked about TCP. For every data received, acknowledge. So the two systems in communication can decide All right. After you receive a frame a data of this length, acknowledge. I get so it might be between us and I and the system. There are intricacies today because I want to just explain it so that you understand. So let's assume I and Stephanie is trying to communicate, and then I'm telling her that after you finish receiving 100 data, tell me that you have received 100 data. Are you getting what I'm saying? That's an acknowledgement. So what you are acknowledging as one is more like the 100 that is being sent. So it's not the data that is being acknowledged, the sequence number identification that is being acknowledged. Is that clear,
Okay, yes, I
Stephanie?
yes, thank you.
So there is also another thing I want to say. This thing I said about sequence, yeah. I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't mean that's how the if that's how the sequence is. That means everybody's system will be hijacked. It doesn't mean if you want to set that it start with 1. No, the system will automatically choose where they want to start with. So I and Stephanie want to communicate now. Due to we know that it can be any random number. So I will not start with what? I will not start with 500 as my sequence. But I already know that 500 is representing 1 that I have sent. So it's a random number. So this 120 here doesn't mean like 120 bit components of data is being sent. Are you getting what I'm saying? So there are a lot of things pertaining to this. So you don't assume that it has sent 1, 2, 3, 4, and you want to know because the sequence number doesn't even start at 1. That is where the problem is. It can start at any number. So it can start at 200, but that 200 means it's 1. So the attacker, if it's already static, if it's a static number, then everybody would be knowledgeable about how systems work. So it randomly generates a sequence number to start with. Are you getting what I'm saying? So are you all with me on this? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can I get your special concern? All right, thank you. This is a portfolio activity, but I don't think, man, you can give it a try, Shaba. I'm somehow skeptical about it. From what you have been doing so far, this is a portfolio activity I feel like you guys can give a try. It has the same way you guys did that the other one. It has a step-by-step instruction, analyze network layer communication, and analyze network attacks. So everything has been done for you. Everything has been done for you. Everything has been done for you. Like the protocol analyzer, the way we see this capture here, it has already been done and given to you. So you just follow through and just answer some of the questions and then do the whole thing that is involved with it. I don't know if I'm to show you all, but it's just the same way that we have done this. So if you're able to do it, fine. If you are not able to do it, it's still okay. It's still understandable. All right. So, but I think it's easier to follow. All right, praise.
Okay, sir. Can we get this link, this Google Doc link on the income messages so that we can be able to follow it? Or maybe later they can send it to the Telegram group because now we can.
Everything is everything is on my slide, praise.
Okay, so when we get the slides.
You will see the same way I made that other one. For those of you who did, what did you even do that time, sir? What did you even do? Okay, they did conducting a security audit. So the same way it is. So if you click on it, it will take you and you see the whole information pertaining to it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
So I don't know. This is just hello copy. So we have some other topic to do to close out on this particular topic. So if the one you can be able to do based on what we have done so far, I think you can be able to get it done. So, all right. So I've copied that link and pasted in my web browser. Let me share something else, present something else. So this is when you click on something like the network communication, you will see something like this. All right. So you will see something like this. You will see something like so. You just have to read through. You will analyze DNS and ISMP traffic in transit using data from Network Protocol Analyzer. The protocol analyzer have already been done for you, so you don't have to stress yourself. In the internet layer of the TCP/IP, anything, I think we have done DNS. I've told you something on ISMP. So in the internet layer of the TCP/IP model, you already know what that means. The IP format data packets into IP datagrams. So, okay, but I said this just in case if you forget. I said at each layer of a communication, there are various names for datas. You don't call them data. In the network layer, it is called frames. I'm repeating this because I know I've already said it before. In the network layer, it is called frames. In the internet layer, it is called IP datagrams. That's why you are seeing IP datagrams. So just know that data in the IP layer, in the internet layer or IP layer is called IP datagram. Data in the TCP, that's the transport layer protocol, is called segment. And data in the application layer is still called data. So that's it. So information in the application, so you can use it that way. So that's it. So when you hear this IP datagram, don't be confused. The information provided in the datagram of the IP data can provide security analysts with insights on suspicious packets in transit. All right, Praise, go ahead.
Um, Hello, sir. Please just repeat the network layer is called frames. I didn't get the remaining ones.
Okay, I mean that data in the network layer under the TCP IP model, data in the network layer is called frames. Frames. Data in the internet layer is called IP datagram. That's a datagrams. That's what it's called. Data in the transport layer is called segments, because you know from segmentation that we did, because in the TCP they will break down information. That's why those data are called segments. So in the application layer, it is called data. So when we talk about data, you want to use it across, but all of them have names as they go up from one layer to the other. So as I said, invariably, this is the thing. This is the thing. You have seen this thing before. This thing. I showed you an image of it beforehand. If you check properly on this image, you will see the time. This is the time, 13:24:32. This is the IP address. That's the IP address and the port number. IP address 1925. This is a source IP address. Sending information to 20.0.2. This. So this is the Yomi receipt for me.com. So this is just information happening. This IP address is sending information to this domain, and then it's also provided you with the UDP port 53 is unreachable. So just kind of, it explained everything. It explained it. If you come here, it said the first two lines of the log show the initial outgoing request from the computer to the DNS server, requesting the IP address of yomireceipt.com. So everything that you need to do this assessment is there. Just read through, follow, and understand. The same way you did conducting a security audit. That's the same way this one is. Look at the thing that you'll probably be writing into. This is what you'll be writing into. So everything that you need, if you want to write into, you of course use the templates as initially, as you all know. So both for the two assessments, if you're able to try it, fine. If you're able to do it all to the end, fine. If you are not able to do it, you still kind of, if you encounter any challenge, say it in the group. I will also provide more. But I know these instructions are easy to follow, and you can be able to pick the same way you were able to do the conduct the security audit. So are we all on the same page? So there are two of them. So whatever you get there, so put it as your portfolio activity. All right, if that's so, okay. That after those, that's your portfolio activities, keep it to yourself. We have to know that the major thing that we have done today is how to use subnetting, how to use subnetting to achieve security efforts, trying to split up network just in case of things unplanned for happening. We can know where to start our investigation from. We also talked about firewalls, talked about security tools, firewalls, uh, proxy servers. We also talked about the network analyzers. We mentioned some examples of them. So those are the things I wanted you to have a ground knowledge of. So if somebody is saying something about it, or if somebody is trying to inform you, you can be able to know, oh, I've heard about this and I know what is used for and this. So when you do these portfolio activities, it will give you more insight, it will challenge you, it will even make you to research where you are getting confused and then tighten up those things. So, but just in case if you are not able to navigate it, but I know most of you did the other one on your own, but you still have to talk about it and we'll always be there to assist. Are we all on the same page? If it's so, there is one more thing I just want to do to close up on this particular topic on networking. So by next week, we should be going um into operating system, basically the Linux operating system. So for most of you that have systems, I don't know how we are going to do it. Most of you that have systems, you can practice in your local setting. And then for those that don't have system, I have to try for a way to accommodate you on by doing some things on my online. Yeah, I will do the commands online. So that's about the operating system. Please, there is one thing I want you to do for me. For those who want to use on a system, download VirtualBox, and then download the Linux over file. Linux or Ubuntu over file. Any of them can serve. Kali, Linux over file. So, but I will still provide you all with where to download it from. So that's it. Are you having any concerns? If that's so, can you raise up your hands? If not, can you give me a thumbs up? I want to. You're already using Windows. Is there any need to still install Linux on your operating system again? You're already using, most of you are using Linux now. Sorry, Windows. Is there any person using Ubuntu here? Is there anyone using Ubuntu? Can I see your hands raised up? Anyone using Ubuntu operating system? Because it offers you Odinaka, you're using Ubuntu. That's a good one. All right, that's your primary OS, or you installed it on a virtual box. Okay, so
On a virtual box. On a virtual box.
okay, so I'll be providing the thing for people who want to. I think the one I'll get in will be coming from the Cisco Academy. That one has everything pertaining to security. So I'll be providing the files. VirtualBox, you will download it for those that want to have another operating system. But you can't use your Windows to do cybersecurity. It is limited. You can't use it. You have to use the operating system that is made for cybersecurity. So that's where I will strengthen your efforts on. I think after that, the other person can take over and then teach you every other thing. But if I'm opportune to come in again, if he finishes on time and opportunity to come in again, I would like to take you guys on MySQL. It's also an important language that you also strengthen your cybersecurity effort. All right, Stephanie, you can say something before I continue on.
Okay, yes, sir. Please, I want to ask if virtual box is the same as a virtual machine.
Yeah, yes. VirtualBox gives you the ability to install virtual machines. So it gives you the ability to install virtual machines. So that's what VirtualBox is. Is a hypervisor 2 kind of uh, virtual installations. So it's a hypervisor 2. So hypervisor 1 is the one that you have to install directly on your bare machine. That is as many of you is using Windows operating system. So you can, if you want to change everything, you can install Linux as your primary OS. So, but the hypervisor 2, which is VirtualBox, enables you to use VMs even though your host, that means installing VMs on top of your host primary OS. So you are using Windows, but you can be able to run Linux or any other operating system. Please, Linux is good. Kali Linux is good. There are many of them. There are many Linux distributions. There are many Linux distributions, but Linux is the operating system for cybersecurity. You can use Kali Linux. You can use Parrot. You can use, when we come, I will teach that. We are still coming. I'm just trying to tell you what to expect as of the time being. So if that's all, can I get a thumbs up so that I will round up with this topic and know we have concluded at least a good number of something that you will need within when they'll be doing that networking. You will not follow through. No. You don't write code. It's simple commands. Those are what is called. It's not codes. It's simple command to help you to do what you ought to do in cybersecurity. Like instance, if I tell you to search for a file, there is a command that will enable you to search through files to know for some certain things. Most of you, if you like, for instance, if you want to open a document, you don't know what is in that document, and you don't want to open various types of documents. You have 1,000 documents, and you are looking for somewhere you wrote some certain thing, and you can't even remember what you saved that document as. You can easily, but you remember what you know you wrote inside that document. Linux will give you the ability to search out those various keywords, and it will tell you which document have that particular keyword. That's the things that I'm talking about. So, many people are using MacBook in our midst. So, that's a good system. That's a good system. MacBook, Apple products. That's a good one. So let's continue on network basic security. Network basic security. All right. One of them, network basic security, you often know. Before this will help us to strengthen on the thing that we do. Assessing vulnerabilities for operating systems. All right, Bola, go ahead. I thought you raised up your hand, Bola. What's your question, please? Can someone download Linux on a MacBook? Yes, you can. But don't download it on your primary device, so please. That's why I said VirtualBox is needed. So if you like the operating system you are using, please don't download it on yours. But I will give you instructions on how to go about that so you don't waste your data. That thing is over. None of those files operating is less than 3 GB, 3 gigabyte. Please, I will tell you how to go about that. So we want to talk about assessing vulnerabilities for OS. This is kind of basic network security wrap up on how we can be able to help strengthen what we are doing. VirtualBox, how does VirtualBox work? If I start answering all these questions, we are yet to come there. So VirtualBox, what it does is more like the same way you have an application. So that application is running like giving you everything that you can do in your normal operating system, which is Windows, on that application. That's what it's doing for you. So you are using it as an application, and it's doing everything you ought to be doing in your normal Windows. It's doing it in that application. So you can be able to create a folder, create a file, but it is resident inside that application. Anytime you close it, it will be closed. So that is to say, assessing vulnerability for an OS. Having known that many systems can be or can face security threats, something like brute force. Brute force is an attack more of to be able to what does brute force attack do? Let me even know, because I've said something on brute force. What does brute force attack do? Who is helping us? We have done brute force. All right, password cracking. Yeah. So imagine that you set a password on your system, whether your website or whatever, and somebody is consistently trying out something so as to break through your website through the using various kind of password and every other thing. So when they do that oftentimes, all right, they are doing it in the hope that there is a vulnerability existing. Nobody actually attacks a system that doesn't have a vulnerability. Nobody does that. So it's because there is a vulnerability they are trying to do that. So in order to strengthen our cybersecurity efforts, there are things that we do. We test every operating system. You know, operating system is not just about your primary devices. Every devices that is a hardware, so far as it does one thing or the other, uses an operating system. That watch that you are using that uses an operating system. That thing, whatever it is, so far as it has the ability to do one thing or the other. Even the calculator that you use has is operating. So when we say operating system, do not limit it to just the Windows and every other. Though these are the major things when we talk about. So when we say that we want to test out something, it's not good for us to start trying to test out that thing. Like this way your system is, you start testing out some certain things, operating system, you start testing it on your Windows. You don't know how valid that operating system is. You start testing it on your Windows to know how it will work. So for instance, you have not used Linux before. You don't know how Linux works. And you want to change your system to Linux. You immediately do what? Start installing Linux on your system. You are in for a big mess. So the same thing, every organization don't just install applications. They don't just install software because they are careful about what they are reserving or doing for their customer. So what they will do is to do what? Use virtual machines and then use sandbox environments. So virtual machine helps us to isolate, do the normal testing and see how this thing works and know whether it will be working best in our systems when we use them. So when we do those kind of testing, assess them to know if there is any threat, any vulnerabilities pertaining to them before we can actually use them in our work. We will first of all test them. And this form of testings kind of help us to identify the issues that they have and help us to also fix those issues. And then before we can now be able to do or properly deploy them on our system. When organizations do those things, what they are trying to do is to what? Assess vulnerabilities that come with the operating systems, whether you call it the one Windows, whether you call it Linux. So those things can be done in two ways, using virtual machines or using sandbox environment. This is a kind of environment that is not resident on your host operating system. They are not impactfully on your host operating system. They are kind of virtual environments used primarily for the purpose. So, but in this case of what we'll be using majorly in this exercise is virtual machine. Like in the course of your learning, will majorly be the virtual machines. So those are the things on assessing. So do not try to install even applications. First of all, try out some of them. If I'm saying this, I'm saying with regards to organizations you are managing, even your own self, there is sometimes you install one application and your system starts misbehaving. It was because it wasn't properly tested. If you test it, for instance, if I'm using Windows 10, I can open a virtual bus and load Windows 10 in that virtual bus, install that application, try it out in that virtual bus. If it works fine, and if it doesn't slow down or impact anything, then invariably say that it can work on my own system. So companies use this means to test out things, especially operating systems, to see that they are working well or fix any associated vulnerabilities that they found on it. Are you all with me on this? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can I somebody raise up their hands to express their concern? All right, thank you very much. So what are the preventive measures to harden OS? So since we got the knowledge about people trying to have access to our system, they use brute force, they try to make gadgets, they try to do so many creepy things. So what are the measures to harden our operating systems? When we say even the website that is running with an operating system. So do not be deceived or do not be confused. Sorry, not deceived, confused when I say operating system. Every device is on the internet, running on the internet, sending is working with an operating. So when I say harden OS, do not limit it to just your computer. Look, I'm talking about the resource facing things on the internet as well. That website people are trying to log in is still using OS. So how do we harden our operating system? First of all is sorting and hashing. Sorting and hashing. How do I explain hashing and sorting? Hashing simply means ability to convert a particular data into something else. So if somebody is using a password, I don't store their password as their password. If your password is 1234556, I will not store your password as 1234556. There is an algorithm that will convert that password to something else. And that's what we talk about hashing. It converts it to something else. And it is irreversible. So the only way in which we can know that it is that password is if that password results back to that the same hash. So if you are entering that password and logging in, if you are entering that password and logging in, if you are entering that password and logging in, it will only know if that's the right password, if the same hash, why being compared is what? Why being compared means that what? It is the same thing. If not, it will flag it and say this is not what? This is not the password. So that's what hashing is. Then what is sorting? Sorting happens after hashing. So due to thank you very much, Victoria, for answering those questions on the comment section. That she's getting it. That's right. So if is sorting, sorting goes extra mile. So because most of these people you are dealing with are intelligent too. So what they will do, they will still try out various passwords. For instance, if I hash through a database and most of those passwords are stored as hashes, are you getting what I'm saying? So what the cyber person will do, or what the cyber threat person will do, or what the cyber criminal will do is he will bring out all those hashes that he collected. He will now start trying various combination of passwords that will give birth to that hash. Are you getting me? So invariably, anyone that gives birth to that hash, it will know, oh, this is the real password for this hash. So it will now go and test it against that system. So that's why hashing is not just enough. Sorting goes an extra mile. So sorting is a kind of adding extra padding. That means adding numbers, auto-generated numbers to the already existing hash. So to make it more what? Complex. So if an attacker wants to get the exact hash, he will not be confused because there is already an added number. And these systems know where they added those numbers. So when you enter your password, it will, first of all, that password will be converted to a hash, and those numbers that will be added to it. If it doesn't give birth to the hashes and the sorting that was used, it will know that it is the wrong password. So once we say sorting, we know that something more was added to a hash value to make it more what? More secure. So even if a hacker has access to a hash password that were hashed, trying out various combinations, you will still not get it back because that hashed password were sorted. They were added extra data to them. Is that clear? If that's so, can somebody give me a thumbs up? All right, thank you very much. So what is MFA, or multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication? We all already know what it is. When we try to bring in extra measures beyond somebody entering their password on a system, we are not doing what? We are not asking them for something they know, something they have, and something they are. Something they know, something they have, and something they are. So when we talk about something we know, you can ask you, which city were you born? For most of you that did survey, and they will ask you secret question, and you will answer. You even put your email. Sometimes they will say, just for it will not be shared with anybody, put your email. And then they will ask you, which city are you from? What's your mother's maiden name? You will start answering those things. What's your father's hometown? And sometimes, most of the things that you do, most of the things that you answered, when you are opening accounts, they ask you, okay, how can we be able to verify you? Can you choose a secret question and secret answer? You choose one of those things. And now in a survey, somebody is indirectly asking you, knowing that your email is your primary means of sign up. email has the highest sign-up rate for every services that we use on the internet. So that means your email is connected to almost everything you do, your bank, your everything. So multi-factor authentication will ask you for something you know, which is one of them, security question, something you are, which is your thumb printing, eye, or whatever, the way you smile, face, or whatever. So those things that you are as a person, and then something you have. This one is mainly if you see those people in banks that use security knob. So that is an example of what something you have. So, or your phone is also token, yeah, and your phone is also something that you have. Sometimes they will send you, click on this to continue your sign up. You will click on it. So that's also a way to get to know it. Sometimes if you are logging into your what is it called, your WhatsApp, they will not ask you for some code like that. You enter it. So capture and recapture, we all already know it. I think we have gone across it. Sometimes they will tell you verify that you are a human. So when we use that things like sorting and hashing, multi-factor authentication, capture and recapture, it will make it very difficult for somebody to penetrate through our operating system. So nobody will hijack our website. Nobody will. So just imagine what recapture will do. Recapture will make you to, at each point you want to try out a username and a password, you have to verify that you are a human. I know many of us don't like that thing, but what is doing for you, you don't know. So I know you don't like it where you enter a wrong password, they tell you, okay, do recapture again, you will do. They will, that series and moments of doing those things. It's okay. So, but you just have to get used to it because it's a kind of a security measure towards having our operating system. Then password policies like the one that tells you to use a minimum of 8 characters when creating a password, use a combination of letters, alphabets, and all those things. So these are also a key technique or key techniques for us to prevent or to harden our OS and to prevent threats from coming in, especially brute force attacks. Are you all with me on this? If so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, all right, thank you. Okay. So there is another thing that you often be seen. For the person who asks a question on can we be using all these devices, Bola, that is where defense in depth comes in, bringing in various things in order to secure a network or the systems or the data stored in a system. So when you do those things, at least if somebody break into this, they can't break into this. If they break into this and they break it. So many of you that have homes, like your own homes, you go outside, you have like 4 padlocks that you lock your door 4 times. There is an internal door that you will lock. There is an external one that you also lock. There is a one that you will lock also before you even lock the gate. So those things is what we call net defense in depth. So even if somebody is able to break through this one, they can't be able to break through this one. They're able to break through this one. So before they could be able to break in everything, we have already gotten hold of what them and what and stop the actions. That is what it is. Using multiple layers of defense to strengthen security. And if you already observe, and most of those tools that we use, when we use them, most of them, we combine a lot of them, we can be able to strengthen our security. So one of them is firewalls, you already know. And the latest version is NGFWS firewall. So it will help us to inspect and put in rules. So from thing entering into our network. The second one is the intrusion detection system, kind of informs us when there are nefarious activities or something going wrong on our system. Another one is intrusion prevention, the one that helps us to stop every form of attacks or any form of threats or any form of unlikely behaviors. And then the other one is security event management system, the one that helps us to be able to monitor, analyze logs and kind of be able to give us a report dashboard of what is going on our system. So it gives us the entire overview of what is going on the system. So you can combine multiple of these tools, firewalls, IDS, IPS, security. So when you combine them, you see how things are going to work. At least if somebody escape your firewall, they will be detected, and then intrusion prevention system will stop them. If intrusion prevention system will not stop them, the security event and management system will keep logs and track of them, so we can be able to analyze them later on and then be able to know how they were able to be successful and put in place the things that ought to be in order to also to strengthen our security the more. So these are what it pertains to when we say network defense in terms combining various techniques, tactics, tools, practices in order to secure our network. Are you all with me on this? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can somebody raise up their hands to express their concern? All right. Okay. I know we started off 50 in number, but here we are, not even up to the half of the class. All right, it's okay. Let's move on. So, this is who raised up there? Victoria. Victoria, you can go on. Okay, okay. So this is what I'm trying to say, a pictorial representation of what I was trying to relay. You can see that here is the firewall. Before our router is the home one that gives us access to network and internet as well, other networks. So we put in a firewall. This is a one defense in depth. We are still coming. Firewall is not just enough. We put in an IDS which comes after our router. So at least if something escapes our firewall, our IDS will alert us. Oh, something is happening in our network. It will ring an alarm. It will tell us, it will inform us the same way they bring light and something rings a heavy alarm to tell you to change over. All right, IPS. How many of you have utilized automatic changeover before? Is anyone using automatic changeover? In terms of you are using a generator. Okay, Pray said they use automatic changeover. That's a good one. So that is what IPS is all about. Once that alarm sounds, IPS will do what? IPS will do the changeover for you. You don't need to go and do the changeover. So this is defense in depth. What your firewall will not be able to help out with, IDS will dictate it. IPS will do what you want it to what do for you based on the what the detection. Then there is also one other one, the SIEM, the one that gives you a dashboard. So when we put all these tools together, these are not just all of them, there are many of them. It helps to bring about what we call defense in them. If you're able to escape this, you cannot be able to escape the other one. Is there any concern? Are we all on the same page? Stephanie?
Yes, sir. Please, I would like you to remind us, or remind me rather, of the difference between SIEM and SOAR, or SOAR.
SIEM and SOAR.
Yeah.
SI, okay, SIEM is just for event. It logs event. Anything that is happening in the network, it logs it. It keeps track of it. It stores it so that it can be reviewed. So if something occurred in your network 150600, it will keep the timing. It will keep the thing. If anybody logs in, it will tell you that this person has logged in. So all those things, it gives you, even it gives you real-time observation of how traffic is going in your network, so you can see it and view it. It gives you a dashboard. It provides you an overview of what is happening in your network. That is the thing on SIEM. Why SOAR goes beyond viewing. It kind of automates the thing that we should have done after looking at those SIEM. So the things we should have done on ourselves, we kind of automate it so that once something unlikely is being met, it will kind of do what you are supposed to do. For instance, if a virus enters, of course, what we'll do is do what? To scan and what? To scan and what? Destroy or to relinquish or delete those files. So what those things will do once it happens, after through the SIEM, the logs are showing that red or something, depending on the figure that is there. The SOAR will take it off from there and then do what you're supposed to have done on a manual basis. It will do it because it has been automated to do what. So does that clear you? All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. A minute, please. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so we move forward. All right, this is what the dashboard looks like. For most of you who will be looking at what SIEM is, this is what the dashboard looks like. We can see 18 million what? Bola, you can go on. Bola, you can go on. I thought you were asking a question. Okay, why is a firewall in between the modem and the router? Okay. As already told you that the firewall duty, first and foremost, is to ensure that something doesn't enter our network. These are our network. These are our network. So these are network from this router here, the router. So it doesn't want anything that is not legit, anything that we don't want it to enter, it will not allow it to enter. So it is the door you have to pass through first before any other thing. So your network, it secures the outer layers of your network. Sorry, the internal layers of network from outer intrusions. So once the firewall, it has to be outside, external, because it's trying to protect external threat. So if by virtue that the firewall, something bypasses it, it can enter your network. So when it enters your network, still there is hope with the IDS and IPS. So that is it. Does I explain it for you, Bola? So thank you. So for most of you asking what an SIEM looks like, this is it, the third or fourth one that I mentioned. So you can see it's giving you how traffic is going on. This is the map. It is telling you, this red thing is telling you, tell us there is a situation. There is something not good going on here. 18 million traffic through, and I don't know. So when you, these are the things, it's giving us an overlayer. We can be able to see what is happening on our network. Look at the mappings, everything that is happening within the network, depending on where you configured it or what you configured it to give you on your dashboard. That's what it will bring us. So this is what an SIEM is, and this is from Google Chronicle SIEM. So that's on that. That's the image depiction of that. And then here comes most of the question all of you are asking me. Firewall, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention, security. This is the advantages. This is the disadvantages of this thing. So everything has an advantage. All things have also a disadvantage. So, but being able to utilize the advantage more and then be able to kind of cover up the gaps of the disadvantage. That is why we combine all of them, because we know things have disadvantages. So you have to combine them, bring them together to one, to help the other, what? To help the other with their disadvantages. Also, what they said about when two come together, they become one. Why are they becoming one? Is so that they can strengthen the capacity of each other. So their flaws are swallowed up. The only thing that you will see is strength. So that's why we bring this thing in the case of defense in depth, because all of them will come together for the very purpose of trying to protect. So when two work, they say two will what? Two will do what? We pursue 10,000, but only one person will not pursue 1,000. So how would the multiple thing affect? So when firewall come together, because it has disadvantages, intrusion detection will cover, intrusion prevention will cover the disadvantage. So by the time we know it, there is no longer a little or no disadvantage. So these are them. I think they are self-explanatory. So you see, it's only information provided for that it will block based on the firewall. IDS doesn't prevent, it doesn't stop. That's one of their disadvantages. That's why we have IPS. Then SIEM is only reports, it doesn't take any action. That is why you will now bring in the word SOAR. So you see, there are more tools you can add here: firewall, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention. So due to firewall doesn't only filter based on header, we'll bring in IDS because IDS will thoroughly inspect traffic. Then due to IDS doesn't stop, we bring in IPS. And due to IPS might not give us everything that is happening, we still bring in what? We still bring in SIEM, which will give us an overview. And due to SIEM will not still do anything, even if it has log of activity. What will happen? We bring in SOAR. So when you know these things, it is easier to practice defense in depth. So are we all good on that? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can you express your concern? All right, thank you. So another thing is, sorry, another thing is security consideration for the cloud. Security considerations for the cloud. So we are not leaving the cloud, because the cloud, when we say cloud, we don't mean that all our effort is just towards protecting things within the internet. So the cloud is also a specialty of people who talk about cloud security. So most of everything that we do on our systems now, every machine that is on our system is now can be deployed as a software. That means we can use them over the cloud. We don't need to have those things in our local systems again. We just have the even network, as I already told you all are establishing. We now have software defined what network. So we can utilize this thing without setting up all those infrastructures. So when we are looking at the cloud, there are many considerations of security for most of you who will also zoom into the cloud. One of them is identity access management. This has to do with properly giving roles to who is doing what they are doing. If you mistakenly give somebody a role of what they are not ought to, access to what they are not meant to have access to, it will already what impact your security. Just imagine a customer care support person having access to customer credit card, and they don't even have anything to do with it. They are not credit loan officers, or no, they are not anything. They don't have anything to do with it, but they have access to it just because they work in an organization. So identity access management help to put in check least privilege. Yes, that's the actual one. So trying to tell you, giving permission, proper configuration, setting everything that a particular user would need in order to do their work job. And they can be able to be identified when they are on a network. And they can be able to say that this person, I gave this person permission. So if you don't know who is on the network, you can't know who is an intruder. So it is doing identity and access management. You can be able to plot in all the whole things and keep account of everyone that is on the what network. Then another consideration is configuration. You have to be exact on configurations, the things you are trying to configure. When you are saying somebody should use a minimum of 8 password, let it be 8. Do not mistakenly go and select 4. Do not mistakenly go and select less than. So if it's 8, especially during configuration of minimum requirement for password creation, please specify the exact number. So when you do configuration, be mindful, because any kind of misconfiguration will give access. Just imagine if I want to share something to Rofiat, and I ask her email, and she sent me her email, and I mistakenly enter somebody else's email. It's already a misconfiguration. Or if, for instance, I wanted to share something with a group of people and I went to make that in public, anyone with the link can use it. So that's also a misconfiguration. So those are the things we also have to look up, because they pose a kind of challenge to our security. Another thing you have to look on is attack surface. Every device that you are bringing in will have a what? We have a vulnerability. We have a threat. Everything you bring in on a network, whether a laptop, a phone, you know that they also kind of come with vulnerabilities that need to be what? Protected. That needs to be protected. Yes, that needs to actually be fixed, or guidelines or things put in place in order to address them. So when we are bringing the attack surface, let's have in mind that every devices that we bring in increases what we also have to protect. So if it's just 4 devices, we know that our security will just be minimal. But if it's 10 devices, it increases the kind of security effort that we have to put in. So let's be mindful of which devices will form part of our core network and which devices can form our guest net. It's even better for you to have a core network and a guest network. Guest network simply means anybody can just use that net. Even if something happens to it, it will not affect your core infrastructure. So every attack surface simply means everything that you bring in with regards to bringing in your network, with regards to accessing information or giving information, poses a threat. So that's it. So if there is a device that you are bringing and that device software is not updated, it's already a what? It's already a means of attack. It's forming an attack surface. That means a pathway through which attackers can get into your system. So another consideration we have to do is zero-day attacks. Zero-day attacks is more vulnerabilities that is unknown to you, is yet unknown to you, but is a vulnerability and is ready for exploit and it can be exploited. So that means any vulnerability that is not known to you until the day an exploit is used to carry it is carried out on it is what we call zero-day attack. So far as it is not known to you, it is 0 day till the day it will regard to the day that you get to learn about it and then do something about it. If not, you are likely going to face it. So what do? Often security requires testing out, checking vulnerabilities all the time. It's not a one-off thing, it's a always continuous thing. Trying to look through your system dashboard, ensuring that you are looking through, especially monitoring vendors' website to know when they have made updates and following through on those updates. So this is about the cloud, and many of you have is also waiting for you. That's if you are a potential target. So, but when you update those things and keep in look with what the manufacturer is trying to release to you, then you are on a better off. So another thing is visibility and tracking. Of course, there has to be a way we have to track everything that is happening on the cloud. The things, infrastructures on the cloud, the application, the data that we are storing, there has to be a way that we have to track it. And then lastly is stay up to date with our cloud service providers. Cloud service providers will always be releasing updates. They will tell you this is our policies have changed. Do well to read those policies because it kind of tells you what responsibility that you have to also do on your own end in order to abide by their policies. So those are the kind of consideration that you see often when it comes to the cloud identity, who you are giving access to, the kind of configuration, the things that are connected to this cloud, things does present those attack surfaces, zero-day attack, the vulnerabilities you are yet to know until the day of exploits, visibility and track, what gives you the ability to see or monitor what's going on your cloud, and then keeping up with your cloud service providers updates. Are you all with me on the same page? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can I get your concerns? All right. So I want to tell you what happens in the cloud. Cloud is more like trying to tell somebody, please, oh, I'm giving you the responsibility. The devices are meant to set up, the wiring I'm meant to do, take it from me and give me what? Give me services. Give me use of your application. Give me use of your platform. So, but take care of every other thing. So when you are utilizing the cloud, know that it's a shared responsibility. Know that you have a role to play and your service provider have a role to play. So if you are hosting a website, just know that the person you are hosting a website has a role to play and you also have a role to play. Like in choosing password is your responsibility. It's not their responsibility. Their responsibility might be able to, what is it called, secure their physical infrastructure, ensure that storage is tight and encrypted, but your own might be setting minimum password requirement for people that will be using your website. Then what is it called? And then kind of updating your website when new updates have gone. So those things is a shared responsibility. So they have shared responsibilities. They have a part to play, and you have a part to play when it comes to security. Please do not leave your part for the person to play, for the cloud service providers to play. So always read the terms and conditions under which you are using a service provider so that you will know what role you are bequeathing to them and what role that you are also playing so that you will know and keep your word. Do not make assumptions. That is what I say, that securing the cloud is a shared responsibility. It's not just your own. You have to also know what the other person, which is your cloud service providers, are doing for you, and for you to also know what. So mostly it's based on configuring services. That's what you'll be doing. Assessing identity and access management. That's what you'll be probably doing. But something like physical hardware, hypervisors, that's the duty of the cloud service provider, database, and all those things. So your own is just to ensure that the right permissions are given, minimum password configurations are set with regards to accessing resources and who can access resources and what type of resources they can be able to access. So I just say, let me just give a quick snip of what it means to secure the cloud. There is nothing. It's just like taking something that should have been system based or physically based off to the internet. That's just what it simply means when we talk about the cloud. So for those of you, so do not be confused. The same thing mostly you will do is also what will be applicable in the cloud. Identity and access management is also in your physical and local system. You also apply it in the cloud and other things. So are you all with me on this? If that's so, can I get a thumbs up? If not, can I get your concern? All right. Thank you very much. So how do we now harden cloud security? How do we harden cloud security? You have already known identity and access management. We have already talked about it. Hypervisors, as I already said, is hypervisor 1, hypervisor 2. Hypervisor 2 is more like provides you the layer through which you can install your virtual machines. So hypervisor 1 simply means the kind of one that you install on your bare metal. That means once you get a device, that first installation that you run, operating system that you run on it, simply install that you are using hypervisor type 1. The one that you can use an operating system and use another operating system while you are using your host operating system, which is the one I told you, download VirtualBox so you can host other operating system, is hypervisor type 2. So what they do for us is just to help us to manage our virtual environment, ensuring that something doesn't escape from our virtual environment into our primary devices. So those situations are rare. So they manage it. So they keep what is virtual to be virtual. So everything you do there will be kept there. There is no way that you create a folder there. It will appear in your local computer. So these are what hypervisors do for us. They help us to manage every virtual environment we are creating. Baselining is another way for cloud security, being able to set what a normal operation looks like. If you receive 2,000 visitors on your website in a day, and all of a sudden you start receiving 5,000, please, that's something to look into, because it will tell you something that there is unlikely behavior going on. Something has happened. So you have to know. So setting a baseline is something that is quite necessary in a cloud security. Baseline simply means how something used to be. So if there is any abnormal activity, you now start seeing red crossings. Green crossings can mean normal activity. Then red crossings can be, oh, something abnormal is taking place outside the what? Normal. So another thing is cryptography, encrypting data. This is the one I talk about, encryption, kind of putting data in a way that it cannot be decoded by some kind of person that is trying to have access to it. So we encrypt those data as the way that it has. It makes no meaning, but it makes meaning to the devices that are encrypting those data. So we have a way to unlock it and lead the meaning. Of course, we have symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. Asymmetric and symmetric encryption. I brought in a term that I know that you all will now start asking me what it means. Should I explain? So encrypting, what I bringing in data and putting in such a way that somebody would not be able to get access or decode what you are trying to send to the other person, but the other person understands it. So with regards to the two terms I mentioned, let me explain it in the simplest way. Symmetric encryption is more like I and Stephanie bought a box. We bought a box, a box, and then bought a key. We bought a key, a padlock. We bought a padlock. And that key we bought is two. I gave Stephanie one key, and I took one key. So Stephanie would want to send me a message. Stephanie will put that message into that box and take the padlock to do what? Padlock the box. So if the mail delivery person is trying to deliver that thing, does he have a way to open that box? No. Because why? He doesn't have the key. It's only I and Stephanie has the key. That is what is called symmetric encryption. Symmetric simply means one public key, that is both of us know those public key, is used to open the what? Is only to open the message. So the only way we can access it is because both of us have the key. That's the key to the padlock. That is what is called symmetric encryption. Asymmetric encryption has take another layer because the key that is used to lock is not invariably the key that is used to open. So how does it really work? Let me explain asymmetric encryption. It uses two keys, public and private key. Asymmetric encryption can really be the sense of Stephanie will bring a box to me. Stephanie will bring a box to me. And I want to send Stephanie, okay, I want to send Stephanie a message. Stephanie will first of all send me a box. And the box is open. And the padlock is what? Open. The box is open and the padlock is what? Open. You will send the box first to me. Then what will happen? I will do what? I will put the message in the box and take the key to what? Lock it. When it gets to Stephanie, it's only Stephanie that has a what? Private what? Key to open it. And that's it. If I also want to what? Give Stephanie something to send for me, I will send an empty box, sorry, an open box and an open padlock. Once Stephanie is done, Stephanie will do what? Stephanie will what? Close it and padlock it. That means I need to use my own key to open it. So we both have a private key, but the padlock we are using is a public one. So the padlock can be sent to anyone, but the key that you use to open it is just us that have it. Is that well understood? If that's so, I think we have gotten the best part of it. All right. Thank you. Stephanie, you can go ahead.
Please, sir, can you re-explain the two types of encryption?
Okay, I said symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. In symmetric encryption, there is public keys. Is a public key. One key is a public key that is being used. So I'm just explaining what a public key is. Stephanie bought a box and a padlock to that box, and then bought keys as well. So Stephanie gave me one key. He can give any other person. There are multiple keys. He can give other people, but that key is the key that will open that padlock. So if Stephanie wants to send me a message because she has given me a key, she will put the message in the box and take the padlock to lock it and send it to me. Since she has given me the key to the padlock, I will just open it and what? See the thing and put whatever I want to put and lock it again and send it back to her. So we are using one key for the padlock and it's a public way. Anyone that wants to communicate to her, just share a key with the person and they can be able to open it because it's a one padlock, and that's how symmetric encryption works. Did you understand that one, Stephanie?
Yes, I do.
So the other one, asymmetric encryption, is that it uses different keys. Like it uses a public key and a private key. So the way I can explain this for you to better understand is using the same scenario I've already started using. Stephanie bought a box, an empty box, and bought a key. Sorry, I bought a key, yes, and padlock. But she doesn't give me the key. So if she wants me to, if I want to send a message to her, she will first of all send the empty box and the open key to me. I will now put the message inside it, then lock it with the padlock and send it to her. Because she is the only one that have it, which is a private key. She will what? Open it. But the padlock itself is public because she can send it to anybody. But the key is only her that have it. That's a private key. So she doesn't send the key to me. She just opens the padlock, gives me the box, and now she is the only one that have the key. So that's the two types of encryption that is being utilized. Is that well understood now?
Yes, sir, it is. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. So that brings us to the end of. There are many portfolio activities. This is the 1, 2, 3. So analyze network hardening, use the NIST cybersecurity framework to respond to security incidents, but everything pertaining to the instruction. These are 5 portfolio activities. So do it at your convenience, please, 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 please. Let me just take your time. Anywhere you're having, there is no rush. It's just to help you to build your portfolio so that you can be able to, at least if you did How many have you done with me now? You have done one conducting. If you do this once, it will be six. At least if you have six portfolio, you can be able to say that you did a training, and then you can secure internships showing people or showing your what is it called again? Any person that wants to have interest in you working for them, that you already know what you did on. So they are five actually. So two in the previous slide, three. Yeah. So take your time. Do not rush it. Anywhere you're having any problem, you can call up, tag me in the group. I will be able to respond to you. Use it as a means to research, to gather more knowledge, then to do much more better than you are. So those are more of the things that we have talked about. In one way or the other, we have talked about it, and the instructions are easy to follow. That's this portfolio. So you can see that it is important for what we have been doing so far, so good in networking. And this will finally bring us to the end of establishing the foundations of networking. And everything we have done so far are all interlinked, trying to tell you that from now henceforth, when you'll be doing the practicals with the person, I think that's the network analysis, you can be able to follow through. And so I noticed that you guys are you can't just enter into operations without having foundational knowledge that is required. So by next week, I think I wish that I had still one more week with you guys. I just wish because I think I wanted you to do that MySQL as well, aside from the Linux, which I don't even know whether that 3 days will be okay for us. 3 classes by next week. That'll be making it 6 weeks with me, with you. Or this week is ending the 5 weeks. So if there's any concerns, you can raise them up. If there is nothing, I think we are good to go for the weekend. So that's all.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, what I have is not it's not part of this session that we've just had,
All
but
right.
I just want I would like you to shed some light on cloud infrastructure.
Throw more light on cloud infrastructure.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cloud infrastructure simply means a way by which all the things that you would have utilized your system to do, all those things that you would have had resident on your system, is now taken to the internet so that you can access it from wherever you are. You don't need to be with your system. You don't need to be with the exact devices where those files are stored, because they are on the internet and you can access them, you can utilize them. That is what the cloud narrative is all about. So the situation whereby we tend to forget one file like that we created on our system, and we are trying to go for a presentation. We are a key speaker in a presentation, and then you now remember, oh, I picked the wrong system. That system that I typed and saved that. It is because you don't have access to it over the internet. So cloud brings all the most of the services that should have been resident on the system to the world internet, so as to give us the ability to access them from anywhere we are. So you don't even, it removes the stress of having a lot of things to store, having a lot of things to keep, and then taking offshore most of them on the internet. So you can have access to them wherever you are. You can use your phone, so far as you know your credentials, you can use your phone to access them. That is the narrative behind the cloud infrastructure. So I might not have money to buy heavy duty machines. I might not have money to buy routers, switches, and everything. I just need to do what? To be able to pay a company who has already done that, and they will not give me what? Access through the internet to use those devices, because they are now on a software ground level of utilizing them. So anything can be taken to the cloud. Most things can be taken to the world cloud. This your Microsoft Word is on the cloud now. Your Word document, every software we now use now are on the cloud. They are no longer, you don't need to install applications on your system to, so those things are taken to the cloud, so you can access them from wherever you are. I don't know what that's the narrative that you are looking forward to me to explaining the cloud infrastructure. Is beyond this. We have cloud service service deliveries, like platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, IT as a service. You don't even have IT as a service, anything as a service. So the cloud is more of interesting. And for you that is a security person, most ladies I see dive into the cloud. All right, because most of them don't know how to deal with all these, trying to know how physical devices connect. So with the cloud, they have just few things to manage. So when you go to the cloud, you are not managing physical devices. Those service provider manage it for you. If especially they are giving you, unless your company has their own cloud service provision, that means they have infrastructure. But when you go to the cloud, it takes off most of the things that you be doing on security from you. So you not just be setting firewalls, doing what is it called again? Doing access management, doing share cloud share resources. And so you no longer be focused on all these trying to know how switches and routers connect and all those things. So you are just focusing on what works on the internet rather than the infrastructures, underlying infrastructures of the whole thing, of the whole setup. Does that answer your question, Dory? Does that answer your question?
Yes, you have. Then I also wanted to know, um, though you've talked about it briefly, like when you can break it down in simple terms, like platform as a service, infrastructure, the three.
All right. I just want us to play a little game, though, about, I don't know how urgent or if you want to go on. It's just a 10 questions on cybersecurity. Let's see who wins that. All right. So if that's okay, but let me explain what you said. I should explain in a quick nutshell. The infrastructure of a service is you bought a land, you bought every device, and you rented it out for somebody else to use. That is infrastructure as a service. So they have everything to themselves. They decide what happens to it, but it is not their own. So somebody, you rent a land, somebody can do planting on it. You rent a physical device, you bought it, somebody can use it, but it's not their own. So that is infrastructure. You are leasing out your whole infrastructure. Platform as a service is not, you are not leasing your physical devices. You are giving them ability to be able to do what? Host their own applications. So you are giving them a way to, you are giving them computing power, storage for them to be able to upload their own operating system on the cloud service and do so many things, upload their application, but you are not giving them access to the infrastructure, physical infrastructures. So that is platform as a service. But software as a service is more like you built a software, you are giving them the software to use. The same way most of us use Google software and every other thing. So they are giving us software as a service. So we don't know any other thing. We are not building any app. We are not hosting anything. We are just utilizing the software that they have created. So when we talk about infrastructure as a service, we talk about every whole thing pertaining to the physical devices in place. You can have access and manage it. When we talk about platform, somebody is just giving you some space, renting some space, not everything, renting some space for you to use and do what you want to do, upload your application, write codes or what so do those things. But software as a service, they are not even giving you the platform to do those. They are just developed a software and told you can use, you pay so amount. So whether platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, anything as a service, database as a service, whatever, you have to pay for you to what, for you to use it. So the more you pay, the more you use is based on pay per use basis, the more you are charged for it. Is that clear, Dori?
Yeah, it has been clear. Thank you.
So I don't know, is any of you chance can we do this just few minutes? I think everybody will go. Hmm? At least to end our classes, for we have been doing a lot of classes. So go to kahoot.it. So I dropped that. Have you seen it? Go to kahoot.it. Let me pin it. So everybody will see it. Okay, go to kahoot.it. Are we there? I'm not seeing anybody. Are we there? Hello? Yeah, I want to put the game pin. I want to send it now so the guy we can start the game. So it's a few questions. So everybody should be there. We have 26 people on the call. Let me start the game. So let's see who after is a 10 question to wrap up our little thing on security. All right. So okay. So we are
It's asking for a game pin.
yes, I'm trying to send it now. Okay. I'm sending it now. The game pin, I'm entering it on the comment section now. Load now, give us pin. That's a little bit of time. I think I'm still used. It's trying to generate the game. All right. So, I don't know why this is resting, but I think it will come sooner now. Okay. Load fast now. Give me game pin. Yeah. Okay. Looks like this is another one task to play today. Okay, so I've started. All right. All right. 732 5539. That's the game pin. I've dropped it 732 5539. So as you are joining in, should I off this recording self? I think we are done with this. All right. I will still 2559239. Sorry. 732 5539. Everybody have joined.
For the nickname, sir, can
Okay.
we use any?
They are in. 7 people.
Sir, for the nickname,
Just
can we
seven
use
people
any
that wants
name?
to participate. Let me know. Should I start? It's just a quick one. Stephanie. All right. Say what you want to say.
As I said, for the nickname, we can use any name, right?
You can use any nickname. Let's just see who and who will get in and get this.
Hey.
There are just 7 people.
Oh,
There are just 7 people. Golden, Ayomide, Bola, Jacqueline, Carrie, V, Star. 8 people. Is there any other more persons joining? Let me know. 11. All right. So let me explain the thing. Immediately that a question is being asked, you look through it, you select as fast as you can because it has a time through which you can answer each question. All right, we have 18 people. Wow, people are just ready for this. Are you going to give anything? Some people that have been doing this thing. All right, let's see how it goes. 18 people, so I think that's okay. If there is anybody to join or another person else to join, I don't know. 18 people. So it's already 30 minutes. I 30. So let's just start. I'm starting now, so just get to your device and then we are ready.
Sir, the nickname,
So
what should we use?
The game have already started. The first question, any nickname you want to use, you can still join.
Okay, okay, okay.
The first question is that this malware is unable to install itself and requires a host program or hook to propagate it. Four answers, five answers. Who is stopping the chat? Adana is stopping the chat for the first question. All right, so we move forward. Um, we move forward. For those who have not gotten it, kahoot.it and the code is there. All right, we are moving on to the next question. A massive group of computers or devices controlled by a single person control center. Impressive. We are done with the second question. Who is stopping the chat? Who is GEET? Is stopping the chat? Git or all right. That's okay. We are moving over to the third question. Using random guesses and computation power in order to decipher a message is called.
So mine is not changing options though. It's still showing the old options. It's not changing anything.
Nobody answered it.
Yes, I guess network.
So
Network
I think it's
affected you all.
network. So I think it's network and mine the options are not
Network have,
changing.
Yes, yes, network is slow.
hmm. All right. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, 4 of 10. So you didn't count for anyone, Sha. Many computers send requests to one server. Okay, three, five answer. Okay. Since nobody got it on the last one, this one is still the same score anyway. So Adan Naya is back to the top. Oh my God. Adan Naya is back to the top. So let's go to the next question. 5 of 10. The dash monitors what comes in and goes out of your computer's network. We even did most of these things today. Hmm. Okay. Oh. All right. Adanaya is off. I don't think that you guys should catch up. Is that okay? The next question. A dash can scan your head to find and remove many types of malware. Just ask. These are simple things. All right. Adanaya, I've just taken off. I don't think this week cast. Okay, let's go to the next question. Gift is saying network is affecting her. Felicia says, okay, I don't know how to go about it. We'll still play another one maybe sometime. Many people will fear this question because two answers are looking like the same thing. I'll be all of them, self. Oh, I know. I don't know. Yeah. Ha. She doesn't want to calm down. Oh. I am the finish. Okay, let's go to the next question. 8 over 10 or 8 of 10. That means remaining after this remaining. A fake email that asks for your password is an example of a dash. This before. Two answers will confuse you there, but I hope that you choose the right one. Hmm. I don't know. What are you using to do this thing? She's just stopping the chat. Okay, let's go over to the next question. Stephanie, where are you? Okay, she is third. Let me. This one even. What is true? Hey, the symmetric and asymmetric encryption that you talked about. Hmm, hmm. Only 9 people got the answer. The only 2 people got the answer. Only two. Adanaya and who? Only 2 people. So that brings us to the last question, I guess. So 10 over 10. Then we'll see who are the first 3. There's only one person that answered. All right, we have our first 3. Fini is the third. Ayomide is the second.
Yay.
And who is the first? Adana. I hope you guys are seeing it from your end. Star is the fourth and Jit is the fifth. All right, I think that's just a little bit of fun for us to brighten up our weekend.
This was very interesting.
Mm,
Very,
whether
very
you
interesting.
are,
Yeah, it is actually very fun.
yeah. So whether you came first, you came
That's
second, you
very,
came
very,
third, you
very,
came
very
fourth, you came
fun.
fifth, you came sixth, you came. So I think I will screenshot this and send it to the Telegram group. Abi, we should leave it here. It should end here. Abi. All right. Take care of yourselves and have a nice weekend. I did enjoy my time and take care of yourselves. So I'll be sending the 2 slide once I'm done. And God bless you all for your time, for your part. I pray that the reward for your labor would not be in vain. And have a nice time. Bye. Mr. The people that will